If you think you can or you think you can't, you are correct. Wait, what? Is that true? Is our mindset really that powerful? Yes, it is. Our mindset plays a crucial role in determining our successes and our failures. If we believe in our abilities and our potential, we will likely take the necessary steps to achieve our goals. Conversely, if we doubt ourselves, we may limit our efforts and ultimately fall short of achieving them. This thought of if you think you can or you think you can't underscores the importance of keeping a growth mindset. By cultivating an attitude of confidence and resilience, we can overcome obstacles and achieve extraordinary things. Hey, homeschool mom, I'm Erika Sagert on the Intentional Homeschooler Podcast with more actionable steps and encouragement for your homeschooling journey so you can confidently and intentionally homeschool your children without sacrificing your sanity. Grab a pen and paper, your favorite cup of brew, and let's get started. Ellen Langer, a social psychologist that I recently heard on one of my favorite podcasts, says on the power of belief, she says, beliefs are powerful. They shape our perceptions, our emotions, and our actions. A positive belief can make a world of difference. Wow. Ellen has done some fascinating research on the power of mindset over everything, even physical ailments like arthritis, chronic pain, TBI, Parkinson's, and MS, just to name a few of the disorders that she has studied. If our mindset can help with physical ailments, it can most definitely help us in our daily lives as homeschool mamas. Today, I want to share several things that I have read or listened to recently. I'm going to talk about 3 different people that I have gleaned so much help from in this area of mindset. I will be talking about a book by Michael Hyatt and Megan Hyatt Miller, Mind Your Mindset. I will be talking about Thanksgiving and being thankful with Ann Voskamp, and then I will also be talking about John Acuff and how we can change our soundtracks. So stick with me while we dive right in. The first thing I want to talk about is minding your mindset. So a lot of this is based on the book Mind Your Mindset by Michael Hyatt and his daughter Megan Hyatt Miller. I will put a link to everything that I mentioned today. I will be putting links in my show notes, and I highly recommend that you get your hands on some of this material. But I'm just going to give you some key takeaways from the Mind Your Mindset book. Number 1, they talk about identifying and recognizing your narrator. So we all have a story, right? We've all lived X amount of years. And we have a story, but we have a narrative that will put a twist on our story. Do you know the phenomenon? I'm sure you do, that when, like at a crime scene, you have a couple different people who were there, who saw it, they have much different stories. In fact, if 2 witnesses have the same exact story, the authorities know that they got together and shared and decided upon their story. We will always have a different perspective. It's kind of funny. Recently, I heard my kids talking about some memories of their childhood, and I was blown away at their perspective and how it was so different from my side of the story. That just showed me that we need to recognize our narrator. We can shape our stories in positive and negative ways. So it's important to identify and recognize that and pay attention to what are we telling ourselves. Perspective is everything. How are we interpreting our story? And what would happen if we reshaped that story? Because our thoughts lead to actions. So the story that we're telling ourselves could be positively or negatively affecting us. So first, identify, recognize that narrator. Second, as I just alluded to, interrogate or challenge that narrator. Whatever the story is in our head that we're telling ourselves, it's important to ask, can I really know if this is based on the evidence that I have? What are the facts of what happened versus the conjectures that put those facts into the story I'm telling myself? What are the nuances? I need to pay attention. Also, it's important to talk about or think about that story. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? So definitely interrogate that narrator. And third, imagine. So train your narrator. Our narrator can steer us wrong based on our experiences, but we can train our narrator by interrogating the stories that we tell and then imagining something better. Over time, with practice, we can train our narrator to tell better, more helpful stories. Now, I'm not suggesting that we are ignoring difficult things or just sugarcoating them. It's not about that, but we can take away and move forward from our situation with a different perspective on the story. Remember, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? And we have the power to mind our mindset and to change it. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about today is Ann Voskamp. I'm sure many of you have heard of her. She has a wonderful book titled 1,000 Gifts. She says, I would say, the thesis in that book is that we can change our perspective by intentionally focusing on the good things in our lives. We can experience greater joy, contentment, and fulfillment. So, in order to change our mindset, it is critical to practice gratitude and to focus on those joyful, wonderful things in our lives. By doing this, we're actually obeying God. Over and over and over throughout Scripture, we are told to be thankful. Rejoice always. Let us sing to the Lord. It's just chock full of that commandment to be rejoicing and to be thankful. Every good gift comes from above. And when you start putting pen to paper, writing these things down, it will change everything. When you see the sunrise, when you see that bird flitting around in the sky with the worm in its mouth or gathering nesting materials for their nest, it is amazing how it will change how you think. And you'll realize how many good and perfect gifts are in your life. If you don't take the time to write them down, you won't realize they're even there. And by doing this, by being grateful, we are literally and physically changing our brain. There's so much research right now on brain neuroplasticity. They're learning that we are essentially rewiring neural pathways in our brain to promote positive emotions. So the way we think can literally physically change our brain. I think that is so cool and so amazing. He has given us that ability to change how our brain works. The third of my favorite authors that I want to talk about is Jon Acuff. He has a book and it is called Soundtracks. The thesis of his book is that we continually repeat these soundtracks in our mind, and at this point, I'm talking about negative soundtracks. What do we tell ourselves over and over and over again? And how can we change those soundtracks to more positive ones? So I encourage you to pay attention to those soundtracks, those repeated thoughts that we're always telling ourselves. You can do this by journaling every day, or maybe a couple times during the day. Just write some things down of the thoughts that you're having. Practice that mindfulness. And he talks about thinking about our thought life as a dial. It's not as if we can turn it off. I mean, we're always going to be dealing with thoughts that come in and they can arrest us, right? Or they can propel us to do something. So it's not a matter of we can just turn it off and we can control and never have a negative thought again. But think of it as like a dial. We can turn it down. I'm speaking of negative thoughts. We can turn those negative thoughts down. So he talks about when those negative thoughts come, when those negative soundtracks come, create an arsenal of turn down techniques for when you are bombarded with those negative thoughts. So one thing to do when those negative thoughts come, choose an activity from your list. That could be going for a walk. Walking helps to reduce anxiety in a very big way. So walk, pet your dog, go put some laundry away, listen to a comedian or watch some funny YouTube videos, draw or paint or create, put together a model, drink some water, phone a friend, take a time out. We talk about that with our kids a lot. Oh, they just need a time out. Maybe mama needs a time out. So if you're feeling flooded by negative emotions or anxiety, choose one of these things from your toolbox. Also, John talks about challenging those negative thoughts and flipping them on their head. What if it could be different? So instead of saying, I'm so clumsy, you could say, I'm learning to be more mindful and coordinated. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, say, I'm capable and I have unique strengths. Instead of, I can't do this, say, I can achieve this with effort and perseverance. Instead of saying, I'm stuck in this situation and there's nothing I can do, say, I have the power to change my circumstances. One of my favorite ones is Your Future Self Will Thank You. That is one of my favorite soundtracks. When I don't feel like doing something, I don't want to do the dishes, I don't want to prep for dinner that night, I don't want to do my studying that I need to do for a class, I think, wow, I bet this evening when I've finished this now, I will be so relieved that my past self did that. So think about your future self. That's a soundtrack, one of my personal favorites. But changing our thoughts literally will change how we feel. How we feel changes what we do. So there you have it. A few things to change your mindset. First, Michael Hyatt and daughter Megan Hyatt Miller talked to us about our narrative. Think about that narrative and what is it telling you? Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Think it through. Process it. I'm not suggesting burying it. That would not help. Process it. Do what you need to do, but change that if you can. Second, Ann Voskamp encourages us to practice gratitude. Find those ways where you can practice gratitude. It will totally change your outlook. And number 3, I talked to you about that changing your soundtracks that Jon Acuff talks about. So there you have it. 3 of my favorite ways to change the way we think, changing our mindset. By questioning and becoming aware of the narrative and the stories that we tell ourselves, practicing gratitude, and altering our soundtracks, we can cultivate a more positive and empowering inner world. Take some time today to explore and apply these strategies to your life. Also, be patient with yourselves. Every small step counts. If any of this resonates with you, you have further questions, or you want to find out about the work I do at Hope Learning Center, book a virtual coffee chat with me. The link to my calendar is in the show notes. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as right here, where a brand new episode will drop every other Thursday. Until next time, you've got this, Mom.